Namaste, sir. Sir, what I understood today is we are governed by set principles. We are nothing but algorithms. It's just chemicals flowing in our body. We are accumulation of all these preconditioned, conditioning that we are kind of living, and basically our upbringing and everything, that what we are essentially, it's all the accumulation of things that we have gathered all our lives in the past. Along the lines, I also understand that if all these things are conditioned, even my emotions are conditioned as well. So, for example, what I'm saying is, I really see the choice between love and joy, hatred, pain and sorrow, and all these things. And my deviation, my affinity towards the negative is more as opposed to the positive. And I guess this is because of the conditioning that is happening in this society today, wherein media is bombarding us with a lot of these negativities, etc., in different forms. That's where my conditioning is also changing in one form or the other. So could you help me understand, I mean, if there is some way that we can really get the experiencer, which is me, to be separated from the experience that I'm seeing in whole across my throughout my daily life, and how can I live a better life when I kind of see all these things happening and surrounded by all these negativities all across, all around me. So how could I deal with such a situation?
It's a small trick, does not always work, but you may try it out. Just try figuring out where the thing is coming from. You'll not always succeed. It's a bit of a guesswork, but it at least tells you that the thing is not original or authentic. It is coming from somewhere. So you find, for example, some descendant of an aristocratic lineage talking to you, and he's talking in a particular manner. And if you can see that the manner belongs to his great grandfather, that brings a smile to you. Where is the thing coming from? That's not him talking. That's his great grandfather talking. And why is the great grandfather still talking through him? Because this fellow today has neither money nor authority, no standing in the society. But his great grandfather was actually a Raja. 100 years, 150 years ago. He was actually a Raja with some real power over the society. And the ego wants power. So this fellow is acting like his great grandfather, and he might not even know that. It's just that when you look at his mannerisms, his behavior, his accent, it appears a little odd. And then you want to see where is this coming. And you might be totally mistaken because you don't have all the facts. But it pays to see that people are not original. Everything is coming from somewhere. It used to be quite fascinating, intriguing. I was young, I'm surrounded by young friends, young people, all, and I was young for quite a while. So some people say I still am. So, and the way people would propose as in a love affair, was so heavily dependent upon the latest romantic flick. And they would not even know why they are proposing that particular way. That's coming from that movie. Sometimes entire dialogues were copied. And the fellow would think it's original. The fellow would say, I'm bearing my soul to my sweetheart. That's not your soul, that's a scriptwriter there. What are you doing? No, I'm crooning something. That's Anand Bakshi, not you. Are you getting it? So just trying to see where the thing is coming from. Even the expressions that people wear are sometimes the expressions of their favorite movie actors. And people will say, I like just like this. I just like this. There is nothing original. There used to be something called a sadhana cut. There was this actress many decades ago, Sadhana, and she would wear her hair in a particular way. And if you look at the pics of ladies of that era, you would find almost all of them have sadhana cut. And if you can look at your dad's pics from the 60s till the 80s, they all have these, what do you call them? These pants with bell bottoms. The bell bottom. And where are the bell bottoms really coming from? They're coming probably from America and the hippie culture. From there, and from there they came to Amitabh and Vinod Khanna, and from there they came to your house. But Daddy Darling says, I'm fond of my bell bottoms. And the sideburns. You remember them? And all the heroes would have 2 or 3 buttons open till here. You could watch their navel. Where's all that coming from? And people say, that's me. That's not you. That's somebody else. That's not even somebody else. That's nobody. That's a process. Where there is just nobody. There is just a crowd, you could say. There is no person. There is no individual. That's where spirituality begins from. There is no individual. So observe that. Where are things coming from? Where are things coming from? Where is the behavior coming from? Where is the accent coming from? Where is even the emotion coming from? Look at how people are. The fellow is weeping, and you start feeling that sympathy for him, and you go close to him. And the first word he utters, the flick it's coming from. And all the sympathy is dropped along with the tear. He's dropping tears, and you have dropped your sympathy, because you see that he is coming from that latest tragedy. I'm choosing films because they impact us. You could choose anything else.
Sir, understanding this, dropping everything which is not the authentic self. You also mentioned about something which is compassion. I just wanted to understand a bit on what compassion is and how exactly it helps in really separating us from maybe the other species or maybe the other objects in the world.
See, you will not find this written anywhere, but this is what life has taught me. Compassion is at 2 levels. Ordinary compassion is when there is somebody in front of you who wants to exercise a choice, but is just 50-50 sitting on the fence. And you lend a helping hand. And extraordinary, magnificent compassion is to awaken the chooser within him. And that's almost like bringing the dead to life, next to impossible. So we'll not talk too much about that. Ordinary compassion is about lending a helping hand to someone who is stuck in a burning house and wants to come out. He wants to come out. He just needs some help, and you extend that help. That's compassion. Where compassion would totally fail is when the fellow has just no idea that the house is burning, or that he needs to come out. He just has fancy imaginations. He thinks that the burning house is some kind of fancy palace or a heaven, or some gods that are testing him, or a divine responsibility put upon him, something. That's when compassion fails. So compassion depends a lot upon the willingness of the other to make a choice. Extraordinary compassion is when the other is not even willing to make a choice, and yet you insist and keep trying. But that's difficult, to put it mildly.
So would this be the same compassion if Karn would have shown, in front of his friend Duryodhan? it would have actually, stopped a lot of these war outcry that happened.
Yeah, definitely. Compassion is not good looking. Compassion can look very ugly. Compassion could look like uh, heartlessness, ruthlessness. Compassion could look like torture, cruelty. What you ordinarily see in the name of compassion is just old-fashioned mercy. That's not compassion. That's again something very prakritic. Do you know? We are very selectively merciful. People often talk of how animals help each other. No, they don't help each other. That's chemicals at work. High school, we were talked of the covalent bond, where two of them get together to share their electrons, and then their needs are fulfilled. Some kind of a symbiotic relationship. The covalent bond, you remember, right?
Yes, sir.
There is no consciousness in that. But it appears as if the two are getting together and sharing things like husband and wife. As they say, no, we share our lives, and that leads to betterment. That's just a covalent bond. There's nothing much there. Animals also, they say, animals, see how one monkey had fallen almost dead on the railway track, and then other monkeys came and saved and revived him. The baby monkey was saved, and all those videos keep floating, and we say, see, even animals have compassion. No, that's not compassion. Monkeys would do only what monkeys are biologically programmed to do, and all species are programmed to save their own species. Monkeys won't do this to a lion cub. If the mother monkey does something for the baby monkey, that's not compassion. That's biological instinct. Programmed, replicable, chemical. Nothing in it. Mercy appears so enchanting, so pretty, so divine. Compassion, even the ordinary one, would not look so pretty, and real compassion would definitely look very ugly. Real compassion, we said, looks almost like cruelty. So had Kern displayed real compassion, he would have been called a traitor. As Vibhishan was. Nobody names his kid as Vibhishan. We are still angry with him. The fellow must have been a truly spiritual one, no? To ditch his entire side and run the risk of being slaughtered physically and also being abused on the pages of history. But he never gets the credit. And if the myth is to be believed, the victory would not have been possible without Vibhishan. But he never gets the credit. In fact, there is something almost abusive attached to his name. Ghar ka bhedi lanka dhai. You ask someone, would you rather name your kid Indrajit or Vibhishan? The choice is obvious. Indrajit is better. Even if he almost killed Lakshman, still he is a better one. Indrajit is better. In fact, I'm sure there would be people actually named Indrajit. Indrajit is better. Vibhishan is not acceptable. If Ram is your beloved, then how can you name your kid after someone who almost killed Ram's brother? But Indrajit must be a fairly common name, not entirely unknown. You can Google for it. Vibhishan. No. If you, I think it was in Hindi that I had once quoted or tweeted, or probably it's the title of a video, कि गाली खाने की तैयारी हो तभी दूसरों की मदद करना. That's what compassion begets. But if you are really compassionate, then you also are wise enough to know all that is just chemical. So it's like some toy that's been programmed to hurl abuses. You have toy robots, or toy machines who speak, or a parrot that has been trained to throw invectives. You have parrots like that. People play pranks and teach parrots all kinds of nasty things. And when someone comes and the parrot starts abusing him, you can't take that seriously, right? So if you indeed do grow compassionate, then don't take all those things seriously that will then happen to you.
Sure, sir. So in case of Vibhishan, because he was so compassionate about his brother, he was perceived as very cruel. But from Vibhishan's standpoint, he actually rejected his first life to born twice again, as you said. So is my understanding correct in that regard?
We do not know the facts. See, it's we do not know where history ends and fiction begins. We do not know. But from the account that we get, Vibhishan is truly an extraordinary person. The narrative is different in different versions of the story. If you look at Valmiki's version versus the version from Tulsidas versus the other versions, the narratives do not completely agree. So we do not know the exact facts. But just the thing that Vibhishan crossed over, he literally crossed over the sea. It's beautiful. It's very courageous. We remember all the ones who crossed over to Lanka and we venerate them. But it was easier for them because they were being led by Ram. It's mighty difficult for someone to cross over to Ram because he is not being led by Ram. And Ram won't always come to lead you. The more difficult thing is to walk your own way to Ram, not waiting for him to come to you.
Getting it, sir. You mentioned that the miracle is deviating from the conditioning, right? So all these examples that you gave while explaining the verse, for example, a rishi, is walking on a river, and then he's kind of violating all the laws. Even Ram is, ordering the river is showing. I mean, the sea is showing its way. Today, what I see is with miracle, it is almost perceived as a superstition. So
no. See, it didn't actually happen. When I said that when I talked of miracles, I never said they are physical happenings. I said you have to stop the flow of the ocean within you. I hope I'm not being misunderstood. I never said that saints actually walk on water. No. I said all religions place great emphasis on miracles. But miracles are misunderstood. Nobody can fly on air or walk on water. Right? Physically, no, that is not going to happen because the laws of Prakriti are inviolable. Inviolable for everybody. So nobody walks on water, rest assured. And if you find somebody walking on water, you shouldn't take a second to know that it's some cheap trick. And there's anyway nothing in it. Walking on external water is nothing. It was, I think, Ramakrishna Paramhans. Somebody went to him and said, there is that particular Siddh or yogi somewhere in Bengal nearby. He said, he manages to walk on water. And Paramhans said, so what? So what? What's there in that? Even if he manages to do that, there's nothing in it. Because that's not what spirituality is about. Walking on water, these kinds of antics, what do these have to do with liberation of the self? So I am saying that's not going to happen. That's not possible. Paramhans said, even if that is happening, so what? What's there in it? Does that mean that the fellow is liberated? Does that mean that the fellow now has compassion? Does that mean that the fellow is now acting selflessly for the service towards others? Does that? None of that. None of that. So all that means nothing. When I talked of miracles, I meant inwardly there are laws of Prakriti and the ego just keeps flowing with them. By flowing with them, the ego somehow manages to assure itself of its existence. It says, I'm flowing with the Prakriti thing, and that means I am making Prakriti flow. So I exist. There is an automatic flow of Prakriti within. Right? The ego is within, right? The ego does not sit on the wall. There is a flow of stuff within. And ego manages to flow exactly with the stuff. By flowing exactly with the stuff, what does it convince itself? I am making the stuff flow. See, it's like this. Please understand. You are sitting in a train compartment, right? Right?
Right.
The train begins to move. Somebody on the platform starts pushing the coach.
Right.
Right? And starts moving with exactly the same speed as that of the train. It's only if he moves with the same speed as that of the train can he fool you into thinking that he is making the train move. The train is moving on its own. You are sitting within the train. And that fellow outside the train wants to fool you. He wants to fool you into thinking that the train is moving because of him. If he wants to do that, what condition must he fulfill? His speed must be exactly the same as that of the train.
Okay.
So he will say, you see, I am running now at 10 kmph and the train too is running at 10 kmph. What does that prove? I am making the train run. You see, I am pushing so hard so the train is running. Do you get this? That's what the ego is doing. The train is running on its own. The train is Prakriti. But the ego decides to flow exactly as Prakriti does and does not want to exercise any choice, does not want any separation. If there is a separation between this fellow outside the train and the train, his bluff will be called. No, it will become obvious that he is not pushing the train. He is standing on the platform and the train is moving on its own. That will become obvious. So what does he necessarily have to do? Two things. One, he must keep holding the train. This is called attachment or identification. So he must keep pressing against the wall of the coach with his palms. This is called identification. Secondly, he must move exactly with the same speed as the train does. This is called going with the Prakritic flow. By doing these two things, this bugger manages to convince everybody and himself that he is actually moving the train. That's called the ego. Doing nothing. It just gets attached to the moving thing and convinces itself, I am the one moving it. look at the trick he's playing. Train is moving on its own, and it's ensuring that it keeps running with the train as exactly the same speed as the train. In my example, there is a small defect. At least the fellow outside is running on its own legs. In real life, the ego has no legs of its own. You could imagine that the ego is actually standing on a platform jutting out from the train, a platform towards the bottom of the coach. So it's not visible from the window. He's actually standing on the train itself, but pretending as if he's pushing the train. So to the ignorant onlooker, it appears as if there is a doer, as if there is a pusher, as if there is a mover. No, there is no mover, there is just the movement. The train is doing stuff on its own. The train is called
Prakriti.
Prakriti. And that fraud is called
Ego.
And who is the one being cheated? That too is called the ego. The ego is fooling nobody but itself.
Understood, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.